Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Never Peak Project Podcast. My name is Coach Ranger, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about a phrase that has been my toes to nose as I have traversed self-employment the last couple of months, going to big networking events as a extroverted introvert, and how I'm kind of maintaining my passion, my purpose, my fire as I continuously get what I call kicked in the throat. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode as I talk about a few key phrases that have helped me keep going even as times get tough. Now, just a minute ago, I mentioned a phrase, a concept called toes to nose. And this comes from a book called The Art of Possibility by Rosamund and Benjamin Zander. And in the book, Rosamund talks about how when she went whitewater rafting, the instructors kept saying a few phrases over and over and over and over again. What they were saying is that if you fall out of the boat, remember, toes to nose. Pull your feet up to your chest so that you don't get your feet caught in the rocks below. Toes to nose, look for the boat, reach for the oar. That was the order that people needed to follow if they fell into the boat. And the water is a little bit of a metaphor. It's an actual thing that happened. She fell into the water and was able to remember toes to nose, look for the boat, reach for the oar. Because I'm sure, as you can imagine, if you fall into water while you're rafting like that, it can be overwhelming. It's dangerous, it's scary, and you don't really have a whole lot of time to think. It's very much I need to act, and I need to act fast. I need to reorient myself so I can pull myself back into the boat. And pulling yourself back into the boat is something that, as a coach, is something that I remind my clients of constantly. And honestly, I need to be reminded of constantly. It's the idea that when you find yourself out of the boat, out of that mission, out of that vision that you want to create for yourself, to have a few key phrases to remember what's most important, to pull yourself back into the boat so that you can keep moving forward. So that's what I want to do in this episode, is share a few of those key toes to nose phrases that I have been using throughout my journey of self-employment. And the very first one came from a friend, a fellow coach named Marcus. And he said this during one of our enrollment team calls, and it really just stuck with me. I feel like it really just embodies the idea of just taking action, taking imperfect action over guaranteed inaction. And the phrase that he said was, don't look for places, be in places. And I think that phrase really just helped me, get out of my comfort zone, right? It helped me stop making excuses on finding the perfect place to get into, on finding the greatest spot to be in. Instead, just focus on finding a spot to be in. And this is something that has already been helping me a ton as I have been traversing a new environment, a new area, a new setup of networking and geography. Since I just recently moved from Modesto to San Carlos after my walk across the country, it's hard finding community. It's hard finding places that you belong in. But I think that the significance of him saying that was it just reminded me that you're never going to find the perfect place by reading a few things online or by just, again, not taking action because you're not sure of the best action to take. And since he has said that, I've already joined a couple local chambers of commerce, the San Mateo Area Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Coastside Chamber in Half Moon Bay. I've joined a Toastmasters organization, the Business Referral Network that's attached to the San Mateo Chamber, and I'm looking into joining the local Lions Club in Half Moon Bay. And the reason that I'm putting myself in all these different positions, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of shaking hands, kissing babies, showing up time and time and time again. But I've already seen some fantastic returns on that time. Just being able to connect to my why and understand that I'm there for a reason, for a specific purpose, to serve others and see where I can fit in with my services, my coaching, my workshops. Really just having that at the forefront has been super helpful for me to just get in front of people. And I just got off a call with someone that works for a nonprofit in the city in San Francisco that is interested in me coming in and doing some workshops. And just this week, I'm going to another networking event with somebody that I had a quick conversation with at a business networking event in South San Francisco. We set up a second meeting. We talked a little bit about our business and what we can do and how we can help each other. I'm making him some connections and he's helping me make some as well. So again, it's really just about putting yourself in those situations, saying, I'm going to find this place. I'm going to go be in it. Taking up space, I think, has just been such an influential and impactful starting point for me to show up to places. Another phrase that I have been using as a good toast to nose when I get to those places is, what's more important? Showing up is one thing, but actually having those conversations and making that effort is a whole other animal and story. And the phrase that I use there again is, what's more important? For example, when I show up to these networking events, they're not necessarily my favorite thing to do. I do have a little bit of a hard time in group settings. I have a hard time starting conversations. It's just something that I am working on, but I'm aware that it is an issue with me that I would like to correct. Something that doesn't work as well, I'll say. Something that I have been doing at some of those events is saying, okay, what's more important? Me being afraid of having conversations with strangers? What's more important? Me being afraid of starting conversations, of inserting myself into a group, of making connections? Is that fear more important? Or are the results that I can generate for people more important? Is the income that I'm looking to create for myself more important? What's more important, the fear or the results that I want? And that has been something that I have carried with me throughout, even just groups of 3 or 4 people to hundreds in a room, from people that I know to new connections that I'm making. By focusing on what's more important, that fear that I feel that's going to keep me in the corner, or I'm just going to go get my little hors d'oeuvres and free snacks and maybe go put my business cards on the little business card exchange table, or am I going to go out, shake some hands, talk about what I do, and really listen to what the other people are saying. So far we've talked a little bit about don't look for places, be in places, and the phrase, what's more important? And the final principle that I want to leave you guys with today, the final toast to nose that has been insanely impactful for me and my business, especially at this rocky cutscene phase, is actually from Alex Hormozi's book, $100 Million Leads. As you can tell by the hat, big Alex Hormozi fans around here. But it's really just from his book again, $100 Million Leads, and it's his guiding principle: do more. I have it circled, I have it written on a few post-it notes. And the reason why those 2 words, do more, are so important and just crucial to what I'm doing is it's just kind of a constant reminder that the only way that you're going to get the results that you want is by putting in the inputs. The only way you'll get the outputs is through the inputs. The only way you'll get the effect is from the cause, right? And I think it's just a constant reminder that if you do enough, if you do the actions, the tasks, the objectives, the missions that you know you need to be done, you have to do things to the point that it's unreasonable that you won't succeed. If you do things once or twice or 10 times or 50 times, it's probably not going to work out. But once you start getting into the hundreds, the thousands, the tens of thousands, the hundreds of thousands, that's when results will start flowing in. Once you start doing those actions, once you start putting in those inputs, it becomes unreasonable for you to not be successful. And that is something that I constantly need to remind myself of throughout this journey. As I said before, I'll say again, I'm kind of in that rocky cutscene portion, right? I'm getting kicked in the throat. I'm getting knocked out. Creed is winning, but I need to keep getting up. I need to keep moving forward. It's just a constant reminder that I can always do more. I can do more. I can do it better, and I can get the results that I want to create. So I hope that one of these 3 toast to nose statements can be useful for you as you're going through your journey of self-employment or whatever it is that you are currently working on. Remember to not look for spaces, but be in spaces. Always remember what is most important for you in that situation. And again, do more. If you'd like to learn more about any of these principles or how these apply to your life, please be sure that you visit the Skool community, Never Peak the First Steps. The link will be down below. It's a free community that I developed for this podcast, for listeners of this show, and those that are looking for continuous growth and always working towards that next peak of life. If you'd like to check that out, again, that is just skool.com/neverpeak. It's going to be the very first link in the description. I'd love to see you guys there. That's going to do it for today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think. Let me know how you plan to use these in your life. I would super appreciate it. And as always, remember to never settle, never quit, and never peak. I'll see you guys next week.